you already know what time it is, man. When you hear that music, especially on a Monday afternoon, you know already that it's a brand new special segment or special episode of the Shake Back Sports Show OT right here, powered by the Big Game Christian Sports Network. Immediately going to iTunes, Spotify, as well as Google Podcasts and all of your other favorite platforms out there as far as podcasting goes. Willie Epting Jr. holding it down, man, rolling too high with my brother from Cleveland Sports Talk, fellow writer, Mel Thorpe. Mel, what's going on, man?
Not a whole lot, man. Glad to be on. It's another Monday where we got to worry about who's still in, who's still out. Just
Yeah,
it was a great weekend. All in all, I would say that as messed up as this year has been through all the COVID stuff, the fact that we had great football all season, that was a blessing.
right. And we're going to get into that, man, because I know you live up in Cleveland and I'm down here in Dallas. And as I stated in the intro, you and I are both writers for Cleveland Sports Talk. Me being on the non Cleveland sports beat, basically saying I write about anything else other than Cleveland sports. So speaking of Cleveland, yesterday in Kansas City. Oh, by the way, I hate them against the world champion Kansas City Chiefs. The Cleveland Browns came up just short, man, against those Patrick Mahomes Kansas Cityers after they knocked them out with the concussion. What's the attitude like in Cleveland today?
Everybody's pissed off. Believe it or not, I'm not really upset about it because either way, I was thinking. I know this sounds cliche. I know people are going to look at me funny, but it had that '89 feel, if that makes sense, where the Browns went to the playoffs, won the divisional round against Buffalo. I really felt like if the Browns could keep it within six, they had a shot. And up until uh, they turned the ball over with like 3 minutes left and gave Kansas City the ball back. I thought they were gonna get the ball back, and Baker comes with that game-winning drive, but it didn't happen. A lot of people are upset, and the logical Browns fans are just like, okay, we made it this far because nobody expected Cleveland to even make the playoffs this year. Uh, Somber, if you want to call it that, for most people. Me, I was okay with it because being a football fan, I was happy to see a team not named New England in the playoffs, and to see that Buffalo made it, the Colts made it for the first time in a long time, and then uh, to see how everything played out. The Browns go to Pittsburgh on back-to-back weeks, beat the Steelers back-to-back games. You know, uh, Lamar Jackson gets his first win in Tennessee after revenging that loss last year. Just just watching how everything unfolded was what was giving me hope for the Browns. Like they got within five after being down 19-3, and you're looking at this game like how long is it before this game gets out of hand? Baker comes back and brings them back within five, throwing a touchdown. Kareem Hunt scores a touchdown. You know, the future's looking bright. Few tweaks here and there on defense, as we've all said all season. But outside of that, I think this is going to be a team that's really, really scary coming in the future.
Yeah, and as we were going back and forth in our Cleveland Sports Talk chat on Facebook, on during the game yesterday, I saw a lot of those guys, man, who are starving. Or, I mean, just Browns fans in general, just starving for some sort of success story. And I'll put it to you like this, man: for the Browns to hold the Chiefs to 3 points in the second half, they more than gave themselves a chance to win the game. And you can argue Coach Stefanski's play calling all you want, but that team did enough to win yesterday. And I actually tweeted at Shakeback or at Shakeback Show on Twitter or yeah. I get them mixed up, man. I got Shakeback Sports and I got Shakeback Sports One on Instagram and Twitter. But at Shakeback Sports One on Twitter, I actually has said that I have never rooted for a team other than the Raiders as much as I'm rooting for this Browns team today, because as you well know, I hate them. All right, so and I know you're a Steelers fan and living in Cleveland. So did you give them grief, or did you just kind of like, oh,
No, no, because honestly, I have been rooting for the Browns all season. I like when rivalries between two teams that are actually historically great get back to where they were. Like at the time, Ohio State, Michigan, before Urban Meyer and Jim Tressel and now Ryan Day take over. That was a game you wanted to watch because that game had a significant impact on what everybody else was doing. Same thing with Pittsburgh and Cleveland. Whoever wins that battle is literally going to either win the division or the Super Bowl in most cases. Uh, I didn't give anybody flack because that wasn't who I am. Like I call it like I see it. If they suck, they suck. This year, they didn't suck.
yeah, yeah,
And I saw, as a Steelers fan, I saw the writing on the wall. And the writing told me Ben's body's breaking down. We don't have a run game. The only thing that's keeping us in the playoff picture was our defense. And even then, that had problems.
mm-hmm.
When the Browns beat the Steelers to get in the playoffs, I got it. Everybody laid into me. I was like, okay, that's fine. Uh, I spoke about this on my podcast with my partner. I'm worried. Like I hope, you know, I'm hoping that the Ravens lose because that'll move the Browns up. That didn't happen. Lo and behold, Browns play the Steelers the next week. I'm like, yeah, we're going home.
Mm.
And that's exactly what happened. And when it happened, I got it again. I was like, okay, that's fine. Y'all ain't been in the playoffs since '07, '02. Y'all ain't had a winning record since '07. I'm going to let y'all have it. Then I saw uh, Buffalo and um, Baltimore, and I was like, let Baltimore win, please, because I think this is a game we could actually, look forward to seeing if they win. Buffalo
Mm-hmm.
wins, and I'm like, okay, now we're going to Kansas City as Cleveland sports writers. Like we're going to Kansas City. Stephen A. Smith said something a couple weeks back, and I honestly agreed with him. Even yesterday, I still agree with him. He said the Cleveland Browns pose the biggest threat to the Kansas City Chiefs, and you can't tell me different. And I agree with him because if you look at the groundwork that they laid all season, scoring 40 points a game 7 times in the season, scoring over 30 points a game 9 times in the season, including the playoffs, going, I think, was it 8-2 at home or
Mm-hmm.
6-2? Or what
Six.
is it? Yeah, 6-2 at home. And then having a great record wearing the orange pants. I think they were above 500. You, it was looking it, and it still looks that way. Like if the Browns, assuming the Browns have a better defense next year, and Kansas City comes to town with the Browns offense that was scoring uncontrollably a vast amount of points this year, if that same offense comes into this game next year with a better defense, I do not believe Kansas City wins that game. Just
Mm-hmm.
being honest.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, the Brown, and we talked about this on the Johnny podcast on Saturday before
Hmm.
games came out, and
And I'm still mad about my pick about the Packers winning, man. I wanted the Rams to
yeah, well, I didn't think that was going to happen because number one, Aaron Donald wasn't 100%, and then yeah, Green Bay seems to be in a different spot. They seem to be a level ahead of the Rams, particularly. And
win.
Jared
Yeah.
Goff didn't play terrible, but he didn't. You know, he's not going to be on the same level as Aaron Rodgers, and even on his best day, at the same time, Aaron Rodgers having his worst day. But just to piggyback on the Browns, and before we wrap it up and talk about the Saints and the Buccaneers, I said that the Browns needed to rush for 225 yards as a team, and they made me nervous because in the first half they only had 6 rushing attempts. Okay,
Yeah, I didn't understand that one either.
Yeah, so when they came out in the third quarter, and Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb is a bowling ball, dude. And Nick Chubb was one of the best. He was one of the best running backs, if not the best running back in college football before he hurt his knee. And a lot of people thought that he will win the Heisman. I was one of them. But that hit by Sorensen on Higgins, that was a missed call. That was big.
Yeah,
That would have
very big.
that would have turned the fortunes around a little bit. But for the Browns' future, man, I think they got a. I think they have a. I think they have their guy at quarterback. I mean, after all of the scrutiny that he has undergone, after all of the vilification that he's had, I think they have their guy at quarterback simply because Kevin Stefanski can mold this kid and get him to do what he needs him to do in that particular offense. Now, one thing that I did see on offense that's missing that's a deep threat, and that's where OBJ comes in. But we'll talk about that another time. All right, man. Let's talk about the the New Orleans Saints and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And first of all, we want to thank you guys out there on Facebook Live, Periscope, as well as YouTube Live, checking us out on StreamYard, BGC Sports Network. Once again, that is who we are powered by. The Shakeback Sports Show OT right here, going to all of your favorite podcasting platforms. And I actually, before I asked you, Rome, before I actually you came on, I said, hey, let's talk about this. And I put a post out on social media asking Saints fans or football fans in general to come in and talk with us. And I didn't get any hits. I was a little disappointed with that, but that's okay. As we know, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers went into the Big Easy, defeated the New Orleans Saints 30-20 in the NFC divisional round, the other divisional round. So they will be going up to Green Bay to take on the Packers in Green Bay. Look, the Packers of Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers, that bad man, is waiting. Tom Brady is now going to his 730th conference championship game. I don't like him either. So I was a little concerned at this one from the onset because when you have a kid by the name of Drew Brees, who really ain't a kid, and they're at home, and he makes this announcement that he is not coming back. You're thinking that there's going to be some sort of issue with this game for the Buccaneers, and it really did start out that way because the way that Thomas took those kicks back from punt returns back led you to believe that there could be a big game in the making for the Saints. However, Drew Brees goes 19-34, only 134 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. I think that reception by Jared Cook that he fumbled, that was picked up by Devin White, I think that was the turning play of the game. And now Drew Brees is sailing off to the sunset. As we said, the Bucs have defeated the Saints and are going off to the NFC Championship game. Any thoughts on that game, Mel?
You know what? As a player myself, I'm sure you already know this. It is extremely hard to beat a team you've seen 3 times in a season, twice in your division, once in the playoffs. I'm not gonna say this was Brady magic because I don't think this was the the Brady magic that we saw in New England. I think this was more of a Tampa Bay seeing the Saints for a third time and knowing what's about to happen, knowing what plays are going to be run, and they made the better adjustments than they did the first 2 games. The flip side of that was uh, you had to slow down Alvin Kamara because he's a big part of that Saints offense, both running and passing. Uh, I don't remember the stats off my head, but I don't think he went over 75 yards rushing. I do remember him. I think he did have a touchdown in that game, but the main component of this was how was the Buccaneer defense going to react to Drew Brees? They put a lot of pressure on him, zone blitzed him. The coverages were better than the last 2 games. And, you know, yes, it was Brees' last game, possibly, because he may come back and say, fuck it, 1 more year. We don't know. It's still early in the offseason. The offseason for him just started. But there are times where players are sitting last game of the season or possibly last game of the season. Yeah, I'm calling it a year, calling it a career. And then next thing you know, they pull a Brett Favre, say, fuck it, I'm coming back. I I don't think Brees played a bad game. I don't. I think the Buccaneers wanted this game more because they got tired of getting beat on. You know, when you get tired of getting beat on, especially by the same team, you tend to come into this game with a different mindset. And that's exactly what happened. Buccaneers ran the ball down the Saints' throat. It looked like the defense was out for blood because the times that Breeze did get hit, he was getting hit.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was getting up, not gingerly, but you knew it was some pain behind those hits. So uh yeah, I don't think this was a Brady versus Breeze thing. I think this was an actual Saints versus Buccaneers round three. Who's going home? And the Buccaneers were just like, yeah, we're not doing this no more.
Right. And we're my co-host Corey Ellison and I will get into the NFC and AFC championship game previews on the network that will air next weekend. But yeah, so I actually had written an article. I actually did a podcast, one of my very first podcasts, a little more than a year ago when Tom Brady and the Patriots got beat by the Titans in the second round of the playoffs last year. And then, of course, when Breeze and the Saints were upset by Minnesota in overtime. So I
That was
had
some bullshit.
yeah. So this is where we are. This is what I want to do because I don't want to alarm my friends out there that are diehard Saints fans. I mean, I went to high school with a lot of them, went to college with a few of them, know a lot of them now. I don't want this to come off as me being a Drew Brees hater because I am anything other than a Drew Brees hater. I am a fan of that dude because he is
Uh-oh.
that dude.
If
But
you got to start off like that, you know it's bad.
no, it's real. Is what it is. It's real because I really do admire him because of everything that he has contributed to, not just to the Saints, but to the NFL as a whole, and then the city of New Orleans, especially after Katrina. So for that, I mean, I'm not a fan of the team, but I am a very, very big fan of his as a
Understandable.
as a person and as a man and as a father. So, but I'm not talking about that today. I'm talking about Drew Brees and his stature as an all-time great quarterback in the history of the NFL. Now, I'm
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna say he is definitely top 8, or I'll say top 10. No, I'll say top 10 definitely, maybe top 8, but I can't give him top 5. I can't.
Why?
I cannot give him top 5. And
Okay, I got to hear this. I got to hear this.
the case, my case for making him not a top 5 quarterback is based on several things. Okay, if you look at stats alone, yeah, he's the greatest. He's the greatest, and he probably will never be touched in a lot of those categories. But even with those stats, Mel, even with those numbers that he's put up over his career, okay, they've come at a price. They've come at a price of where his teams were not that good. They've come at a price where his teams have not gone to the playoffs, and they've come at a cost where he actually has been responsible for some of those playoff losses also. Not just once. He got outplayed by Kirk Cousins last year, and the year before that, he threw the pick against the Rams. I don't want to hear about no stupid pass interference call because they still could have won. Okay, so I don't consider him a top 5 quarterback for these reasons. Okay, I know this for a fact. All right, Drew Brees is. Look,
I ain't saying nothing. I ain't
look,
saying nothing.
listen. He has a career record that's just that's 172 and 114. Okay, I understand that quarterback is or a win shouldn't be a quarterback stat. That's what they say. It shouldn't be. However, it is, and it is a factor in this. Now, Drew Brees has led the NFL in completions 6 separate years. He's led the league in passing yards 7 separate years. Okay, or 6 separate years. He's led the league in touchdown passes 4 separate years. But you know what? The years that he led the league in passing touchdowns, those years, they went 8-8, 13-2, 13-3, 7-9.
So
Seven.
basically, he had a 500 or better record. What, 5 out of those years that you just said?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And look, the 3 years in a row that he led the league in touchdown or in passing yards, 14, 15, and 16, 4,900 yards, 4,800 yards, 5,200 yards, 7-9, 7-8, 7-9. So statistically, probably the greatest ever. Top 5 quarterback of all time, or even let's even break it down this way. Top 5 quarterback that I've ever seen. I don't see it. I don't see it.
Okay, let me ask you this. Since you brought that up, who would you put in your top five? Just off the top of your head right now, who would you put in your top five
Tom
all
Brady.
time?
Tom Brady.
One.
No particular order now. This is no particular
No,
order.
I'm counting along for my sake.
Okay. All right, bet. Tom Brady,
One,
Joe Montana,
two,
Peyton Manning,
three,
John Elway,
four,
Dan Marino.
five. Okay, I knew Dan Marino was going to be on this list. So because Dan Marino is on this list, my question to you was this: what was Dan Marino's record when he led the league in passing yards or touchdowns? Because I'm pretty sure that the years that he led those categories, they were either subpar, or a playoff team that didn't go far. Because if memory serves me right, and you're a little bit older than me, but the NFL Network and NFL Films have been great to me. So if memory serves me right, Dan Marino only made one Super Bowl, correct?
Right.
And he got beat on in that Super Bowl against the 49ers, right?
Right. Very good.
Okay. Shout out to my lady. She's a 49ers fan. Don't really care about that right now, but I had to throw that in there because I know I'm going to hear about it later. Um, Outside of that, during the downswing of his career, Peyton Manning was coming in. And the years that, if I'm not mistaken, the years that Peyton Manning first started out, he led the league in passing. Those teams were not very good either.
Right.
Elway, same thing, but Elway was playing in a different era, not very pass happy. So I give him and Montana a pass because back then you relied on the run. Didn't start really getting into the swing of throwing the ball until mid 90s, late 90s, where the offenses opened up. Honestly, I feel like this because these are two different eras, and because your top five is almost similar to what I had in my head, I'm going to say I give him a top six because throughout his career, he has faced a lot, and a lot of the decisions and a lot of the way the teams looked at the time he was there was not all of his fault. They got rid of LT in San Diego, which was a dumb idea. The team falls apart. They even give up on him for Philip Rivers. Not to say, because I know people are out there. I got a friend of mine who says Philip Rivers is not even a top 10 quarterback, and clearly he is. But in that scenario, I really don't think that the Chargers organization should have gave up on Brees. But looking hindsight, bad shoulder, you don't think he's going to come back from it. What do you do?
Yeah, exactly. That's what happened.
And yeah, that's exactly how it played out. And it turns out they were wrong. They only wrong because Brees came back from it. He ends up winning the Super Bowl. Philip has a great career, but you surround him with bad players, bad teams. I get it. Brees, to me, looking at his entire career from college to now, Brees is one of those transcending quarterbacks because when you look at his body of work, going back to the Big Ten in Purdue, You realize the Big Ten is a power running team, a power running conference. Joe Tiller brings in the spread offense. He finds Drew Brees on a whim, literally, and brings Drew Brees in. Drew Brees lights up the Big Ten, has a hell of a career, gets drafted, still having a hell of a career up until the injury. They get rid of him. He goes to New Orleans. New Orleans took a big chance on him,
Mm-hmm.
and it paid off. And for a guy who's only 6'1" on a good day, how could you not put him in the top five at least? Because I know for a fact at least two out of those five QBs that you had on your list on the downside, they were not playing at a high level. Injuries, just bodies falling apart. The arm ain't what it used to be, especially with Marino.
Right.
As much as we all love Dan Marino, the downside of his career in 98, 99, it was not good.
I have an answer to that. Okay.
Okay.
Number one, the protection of the quarterback, as far as the rules go, totally changed in the late 90s to the early 2000s.
Not even that. This new personal foul roughing the passer rule hadn't really kicked in till this year for real.
Well,
Like they weren't enforcing it like they should have.
But my point is that when Drews was on, or when Brees is on the downside of his career, in comparison to Marino on the downside of his, the language of the rules were totally different.
Very true. Very true.
So that's what I mean
that is true.
That's what I mean when I say that. And then number two,
I agree with that.
And then number two, Drew Brees was a dual threat quarterback at Purdue. Remember?
Yeah, he was.
He could run the ball as a quarterback. So that's why I had to preface it by saying this is not a haterism on Drew Brees. I love the way he played quarterback. I love the stats that he's put up over his career. I love what he did for the city of New Orleans. I love what he did for that community. I love the fact that he's only 5'10", really, and did all these great things. I mean,
hey, don't forget the cleats add a couple inches to your height. So don't forget that.
Okay, so we'll give him 6 foot. We'll give him 6 foot today, like you said. I love all those things, man. But then John Elway went to what? 5 Super Bowls, 4 Super Bowls, right?
I believe it was 4.
Yeah, he engineered drives, and even the Super Bowl where Terrell Davis was the MVP. Elway made a play in that game against the Packers that was phenomenal, and the Packers were a heavy favorite.
I actually bet on that game and I lost.
Yeah, so I'm sorry to bring up old memories, but still, that's why I have Drew Brees on the now. That's why I say he's definitely top 10. Some honorable mentions that you can throw in there. I mean, you could throw now. Again, this is not what I'm saying. It is. This is just me talking about other quarterbacks. You can throw Steve Young in there. You can throw Jim Kelly in there. You can throw Brett Favre in there.
Actually, Brett Favre is on this list. The list I'm looking at.
Yeah,
you can on it.
Yeah, but the thing for me about Brett Favre is that he turned the ball over too much. That's the only reason. I mean,
that's why he was a gunslinger.
Exactly. And if fantasy league football would have been in existence while Brett Favre was playing quarterback,
people would have been pissed.
No, you would have been cool because of all of the all of the touchdown passes that he threw. And interceptions are only worth -2. So it would have at some point equaled out in the end. So, I throw Jim Kelly in there because we will never see a team go to 4 straight Super Bowls ever again.
No, not like that.
Never.
You're absolutely right.
So, because again, and I understand, and that's why I know it spans across different eras. I know that it spans across the different ways that football has been played since I really fell in love with it. I understand all of that, but I'm looking at it from a standpoint of what's in front of me, what I've seen, who I've seen done it, based on all of the parameters that shaped those players during their primes, during their careers. So, and I don't like getting into talk about all time because I shouldn't have said all time because I can't say that Johnny Unitas is an all time great when I've never seen him play. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, and I get that, but the flip side to that, because I'm glad you brought this up because you were on my mind for a special show that we're gonna have later on in the month, and it's called the Great Debate. And this is why I have Drew Brees in my top five because one of the qualifications for this list and for this show is what if your player is on this list, what was their impact on the game? And my feelings towards Drew Brees is that his impact was on the level of, I would say, Peyton's, in the sense that one pass he throws can change the game entirely. It could either swing the momentum his way or it could swing the momentum towards the other team. And a lot of times Drew made a pass, it was swinging the momentum towards him, just like Peyton.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that because Drew, you know, let's just call it what it is. Drew had to work harder than most quarterbacks in his class. Not even gonna say in the top 10, in his class. He had to work harder than most of them. And because he's at a height advantage, because, you know, only one team really decided to take a chance on him at the time, which was San Diego. I felt like he had to prove himself more.
Right.
You know, Peyton came from a lineage. His dad was a quarterback. His brother was a quarterback. Uh, his son is a quarterback. He got another one, I think, is a wide receiver or something like that. Even Doug Flutie. Doug Flutie came from a family of football players. So, you know, for Drew, it was different. And I feel like I won't tax Drew too much because Drew's a winner. He's got the hardware to back it up. And even if he didn't have the hardware to back it up, his impact with each team was still significant enough to where it either changed the course of the team's history for good or bad. In San
Yeah.
Diego's case, they still played out good because they got Phillip Rivers. They just cursed Phillip Rivers with occasional bad teams. Same thing with New Orleans. They Katrina came and happened. You know, they united. They ended up winning the Super Bowl. I'm not even gonna touch that play against the Vikings or no, the Rams.
Rams.
I don't think. Yeah, it was the Rams. I don't think Kirk Cousins against the Vikings. I don't think Kirk Cousins outplayed him because
Oh yes, he
that
did.
was.
Oh yes, he did.
Hey man,
Yeah.
what's Kirk Cousins? What's Kirk Cousins' stigma, man?
I mean, I don't know, and it doesn't for this purposes of this conversation, it doesn't really matter. But here, when you talk about impact, that's funny that you mentioned that because I'm going to talk about that, and then we're going to wrap it up, man. When you talk about impact and Drew Brees, you think about it. Think about it like this: when San Diego decided to move on from him, who were the two teams that were vying for his services?
I believe one of them was
The Saints, we know.
the Saints, and then the other team I believe was maybe the Jets or
It was the
something like
Dolphins.
that.
It was the
Okay, I
Dolphins.
was close. I knew it was an AFC East team.
Yeah. So listen to this. Jimmy Johnson was the coach of the Dolphins at that time after moving on from the Cowboys.
I
He
remember that.
he was the coach of the Dolphins at the time. And he had a choice to make. Drew Brees, not Jimmy Johnson. Uh Nick
Wait,
Saban. Nick Saban. Nick
yeah.
Saban. Miami. So he had a choice between Drew Brees or Dante Culpepper. Remember that?
And he chose Culpepper.
And he chose Culpepper. And ever since then, he's been
It's
winning
been,
championships at Alabama and Super Bowls in the NFL. That's
but that's we can't blame that on Drew. That's the coach's decision.
no. That's not me blaming him. That's me giving him props when you said about the impact that he has made.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's a Nick Saban. And it's funny because Nick Saban had been in the NFL before. Before going to Michigan State, before going to LSU, he had been with the Browns coaching with Belichick.
Exactly.
So I couldn't understand that decision. I'm like, dude, you know the Big Ten. You've been in the Big Ten. You got a Big Ten quarterback who's arguably one of the greatest Big Ten quarterbacks in history, and you pass him up for Central Florida?
Well, to his defense, I mean, Culpepper did come off of a year where he was a MVP candidate, threw over 30 touchdown passes. I mean, he was 6'4", 250 pounds, and could run the ball like he was a halfback. So, to his defense, I will give him that because that's what he saw. All right, Mel, this is the shameless plug portion of the show. And
I love that.
Before you do that, the reason why Mel is on the show, ladies and gentlemen, today is because of this right here.
You ain't ready. I run these streets. I run these streets.
You heard it.
Is that from Fast and Furious?
Yes, sir.
Who was that? Who was that? Tyrese?
That was Tyrese. He run these streets.
That had to be the scene where they was facing the two gangster dudes in the street race. Oh man, that was my favorite. That was my favorite part of that movie, just because at the end when they won the race, use them bus tokens, cuz.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. That is awesome.
Shameless plug time, man. What you got? How can people hear you?
Okay.
Follow you.
If you want to follow us, you can follow us on Facebook at 4th and 15 with Mel and Smooth. We do have a YouTube channel of the same name, 4th and 15 with Mel and Smooth. I am also on Twitter at MelSB12. Also, Cleveland Sports Talk. I'm on the Cleveland section. I've also posted some things in the not Cleveland section. I don't think I'm missing anything.
Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram rather.
We're actually working on an Instagram right now. I don't handle that part. My partner handles all the social media that's not named Facebook because I can't keep up. But Facebook and Twitter, Mel SB is my Twitter. Facebook, 4th and 15 with Mel and Smooth. We are airing Sunday nights. Sunday nights, 8 p.m. We do have an audio on Anchor. We are also on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Our live streams are brought to you by StreamYard. So if you want to catch us Sunday nights, 8 p.m., you want to come on and argue with us, we're more than welcome. More than welcome.
All right, man. There you have it. Once again.
I run these streets.
All right, man.
That is awesome.
For Mel Thorpe, man, this is Willie Epteen Jr. We are part of the Cleveland Sports Talk team, man. Y'all make sure y'all check out Writing Out There. It's going down, man. I appreciate you coming on the show, man. You are welcome anytime. Man, we're going to get on up out of here, man. Y'all take care of each other, love each other, and we out. We'll talk to y'all again real soon. Peace.
Hey.